Hello there. Welcome to our brand new series on CGconnect. With this mini series, we want to discuss everything that architects and designers need to make their work better. And for today's episode, I have with me Farhan, who's an architect and also a solutions engineer here at Chaos. Welcome to the show, Farhan.
Thanks, Drake. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Nice to have you here. Before we start, you can head over to the description and you see that we have a gift for you. But of course, first watch the video, then you go to the description and you get your gift. All right. So, Farhan, let me ask you something. AI is everywhere, like literally everywhere these days. And a lot of architects, and I include myself in that because I'm an architect also, a lot of architects and designers as well, they're still not sure where it kind of fits in their workflow. Like, what do I do with this new AI thing? So where do you see that AI can create the most value today for architects and for designers as well?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I do get asked similar questions many times. And I think the easiest way to understand this is firstly to be able to compare it to how traditional workflows were. So, for example, you would, firstly go into your CAD application, create a model, even if it's just volumetric, but then you have to go into details, add some materials, add some entourage, lighting. So basically put in all the effort and time to create that, details model. And then you were able to generate a render, even if that was for, let's say just the conceptual stage. And that's how AI has changed things. But I generally think that people are using it more for the ideation stage where they like to test ideas. But not only that, I mean, I use it also for iteration of different parts of the design process. I would also use it for final visuals, even for post work, maybe, to add some touches and stuff. But I think the most impact or the impactful phase in the design process where AI is used is probably the conceptual part, where you could, test different ideas quickly, rapidly, and see how they look. This also comes from the fact that, in architecture, typically, architects or designers, they would start with a hand sketch or have some pictures of the site to start with. And that's something that really creates a friction or you paying some sort of delays in terms of actually seeing the first visual to understand how a design might look or feel. So I think from that perspective, testing different ideas immediately, even without having a 3D model, that is really, I see AI being most impactful in today's era.
And how difficult is it to introduce AI in your workflow right now? Like, there are so many tools, there's so many ways you can do something using AI. So it's like, what's the best way to, like, for an architect to introduce AI into their workflow, like today?
Yeah. I think the biggest hurdle or challenge for architects to adopt AI is not necessarily the technology itself, but it's more the idea of changing a workflow which is working for them throughout the years, right? And so that's something that people sort of try not to change, because not only is it a big decision, it also you need a specific timeline, especially in bigger offices, to have that block just to change things and then test them and see if they're working in their specific workflow. That comes with a cost as well. But what I generally say to everyone is that you can even try it today. You don't have to wait for that specific project or that specific time where you need to, test it on that thing. But if you're working on a current project, like whatever you have on your desk right now, you could just, test a few images for it, because this doesn't have to be for the customer or the client. This is more for you to understand where in your specific workflow can AI help you to, be faster or test things quickly or even iterate or, work in which specific phase. So I think it's more about you just checking it out and seeing where it could be more impactful. So I would say you can try it today And the only way to understand if AI is something for you or for your workflow is to just, test it on any project you're working on at the moment.
And again, we have like maybe 200,000 different tools out there using AI for a bunch of different things. And sometimes I feel like out of all those tools, we need something more focused, more like, okay, this is for architects specifically. And we have Veras at Chaos, right? And how does it fit into an architect's workflow?
So typically when you're using AI, right, the standard process throughout the years have been that you would either have a render or an image that you would, upload and use as a base to start with. And this is where you really have the challenge for the modern architect, for example, where you have one workflow where you're doing or creating your model, you're rendering with Enscape or whatever tools you're using. And then when you want to use AI to test something, you have to go outside of that workflow and then test it and then come back to that workflow and try to make those changes. This would never be exact, of course, but still it's two different workflows. And I think this is what changes, because to make this seamless, technology has to live where you work. And this is how Veras has, sort of changed this whole process and brought the AI part directly inside of your CAD platform. So I would say the first challenge for the modern architect was to have a connected workflow. That's where you have it in your CAD environment. And the second, furthermore, is also a very important factor, is that just having the tool there, of course, saves you time from just going outside or coming back. But you also need to have some sort of integration where the AI is able to understand your 3D composition. And that's exactly what Veras does. It reads your object ID, material ID, or even the depth channels. And so if you have a specific composition and you don't want the AI to, interpret your prompt as to be applied to the whole image, you are now able to pick up individual elements from your 3D composition and then apply the prompt directly to it. So I think this is where technology sort of comes into your workflow, and you're able to use AI in a much more constructive way, I would say.
Cool. And of course, we have to mention that, again, with the integration with, for example, you mentioned Enscape, right? It's always nice to have a tool that like talks to the other tools that you already use in the best way possible, so it doesn't interfere into your workflow. We have, of course, to mention that when you're using AI, you probably have to, there are plans that you have to subscribe to, or some like credits or something like that. There's a plan that includes some credits for Veras, right? Can you elaborate on that a little bit so people understand how it works? We get that question a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So previously we had different tiers where Veras was just included in one of those tiers. But since the integration, what we did was that, first of all, we made Veras available in the complete Chaos ecosystem. That means not only in Enscape, you are able to use it in all different Chaos products. Secondly, all these different tiers that we have with Enscape Basic, Enscape Premium, or even the collection, you have credits for Veras in each of them. That means somebody who is a new user, just like you said, how would somebody start using it, or what's the starting point? So we now enable them just with the basic subscription that they have credits to use to test and see how AI can be implemented in their workflow. And then in the premium one, where they have a bit more credits, and then in the collection one, much more. These are for higher users who use AI in a much more advanced way, bigger prompts or advanced prompts, and then detailed work. And maybe they're using it much more in each of the design phases rather than just one specific phase. So it is now possible to use AI in every subscription or license that we have.
Awesome. So the bottom line here is that when you're using AI, clients are always asking for more options. So you get more variations, you get faster feedback, you can explore ideas in minutes instead of like hours or days sometimes. You can test like materials, styles, moods, like concepts. I mean, the bottom line is AI gives you a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility that otherwise you might not have by using the traditional methods. So I would say it's a no-brainer to use to insert AI in your workflow.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I would really like to briefly mention that uh, referencing with AI is also one of the really cool features, or the features that I like to use a lot, because there could be scenarios where, you um, prompt something that you want to change a material or an object, and you get the result, and you possibly like the result as well. But there could be a scenario where you say, okay, I like what I see, but it's not exactly what I had in mind. And so with image referencing, you have the option to, provide references for the specific style you want, or if you want to test materials, even in the design development stages where you're, looking at the facade and thinking about how to change or add different panels for, the facade. You could do all of this. Even if changing objects is important for you at a certain stage, you could just provide images from a manufacturer, and then Veras in Enscape or on the web, it could generate those results immediately for you.
Yeah, and that's so cool. Really, like I love the possibilities, honestly. So, guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much, Farhan, for being with us today, and thank you for watching this. Remember, go to the description. We got a gift for you, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you.